Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ignore the cattails. Cat is hanging out with us today. Welcome back for another round of Questioning Constructs. We are your hosts. I am John.
Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca. Welcome back. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy almost
Happy
New Year.
holidays. It's been a little bit since we've been on actually, or
Mm-hmm.
have had a bit of recording, and it's just because the holidays have been so hectic for each of us. I think
Yeah,
we've been kind of a little bit of everywhere, to be honest.
yeah. Life changes too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But that said, it's nice to be back in the flow of things. It's nice to be recording an episode. I definitely miss doing this on Wednesdays. So,
Mm-hmm.
really excited to be back up and running, even though today is Thursday. But yesterday was quite literally Christmas. So, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that said, Rebecca, you've got a topic you want to share with us today.
Yeah. I've just got loose topics. I figure, jumping back into it will make it a little bit more casual, for those of you that have your drink of choice, you're in a nice warm blanket, cuddled up, and just hanging out with the family. I feel like this could be a more informal, but I don't know, maybe we start with what was your favorite thing about yesterday? What was a moment where you were celebrating you yesterday?
Honestly, it was, I think, I don't know so much about celebrating me. I'm not, you know me, I'm not really into that. I don't do the whole self celebration thing too well. But I will say I did have a good time with my family. And I think anytime that I get to have a good time with family, it's something worth celebrating because we oftentimes have such a contentious relationship with each other. So yesterday was actually really fun. I got to hang out, drink, eat good food, and play some games, play some board games with my family. I introduced them to a game called Hues and Cues, which is really fun. For those of you who have family members who like to argue, it's a good one to play. It was overall a good time.
That's cool. I haven't heard of that game. Is it what's the premise? You pick up a card and then you have to debate your stance on it?
Not so much. I know with my family, games have to be very direct. I have to be able to explain the dialogue or explain the rules of any given game within 5 lines of dialogue or less. If I can't do it in 5 sentences, then they can't play. Um, that said, Hues and Cues is a pretty easy game. You do pick up a card. There are 4 different colors on it that correspond with a large graph on the table full of different shades of a bunch of different colors. And what you do is you pick one of those 4. You get one round where you give a one-word clue that is supposed to tell people where the color is on the graph. And everybody puts their piece down as close as they think they can to the color, if not on it. Then clue giver gets 2 words to give if the first clue didn't suffice. Everybody puts their pieces down, and you score points based on who got closest. Pretty straightforward game, pretty fun, but when there are 80 different colors of green, every 80 different shades of green, shades of yellow, red, blue, etc., you run into funny situations where people start arguing what the color of a cloud is, or
Mm-hmm.
what colors fire trucks are, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really fun game. Makes for a good time.
I've seen a couple of videos on Facebook and Instagram of people playing that. I didn't realize that it was a game at first, and I didn't realize it was called Hues and Cues. But some of the videos are really funny. Just like you said, you have a whole bunch of different shades, and I remember this one video where a girl was the one giving the cue, and she was like, or no, I'm sorry, it was a guy, and he was like, math. And they're like, well, my math folder growing up was always red. The girl's like, you know what? Mine too. It was red. And then he'd go reading. And then that's where it like differentiated where I think the girl said yellow and the guy said blue.
My family would hate somebody who gave a clue like that. They would rip
Yep.
them to shreds.
Yep.
Matt,
Yep.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is yeah. My family's contentious. You got to be a good clue giver, or you will get eaten alive. Uh, you can be. I'm a decent clue giver. I get eaten alive. Math would not have flied. If I said math, I think somebody would have bitten my head off.
Oh, but it was so funny though because even I was like, "Oh, it's red then." Duh, the red math folder. Or I saw another one um where the guy said margarita and the girl went orange or something because she was thinking like
That's
salsa and,
trash.
and he's
But
like green margarita like
I
the
wouldn't even
drink.
choose green though. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think
Was it is it fun though? Is it as fun as the videos make it out to be?
yes, it is definitely a very fun game. I'm sorry, my little one is acting up. She's jumping on the table right now. Cat. Yes. Anyway, it is very fun. Definitely an interesting game night. A good time overall. How was your Christmas? Tell us a little bit about your Christmas.
Yeah, my Christmas, um, it was low key and productive. So I
Cat.
started out my day pretty early and I had things that I wanted to catch up on, so I used the day for that, but got a nice nature walk in. And before that, I had already decided I was making myself pumpkin pancakes with some leftover canned pumpkin that I had. I didn't
Ooh,
anticipate spending 2 hours making pumpkin pancakes, but they were good.
2 hours
And
is kind of crazy.
yeah, I didn't think about using the larger skillet, so I can only do like at most 4 pancakes at a time. But did you know though? I stopped at we have a organic market here. It's called Mom's. And so I went in there to try and get actual maple syrup. And they have apparently there's a company or maybe a few that do Maryland maple syrup.
Really? I
So
didn't know
yeah, it's
Maryland had a maple syrup
I didn't
associated with
either.
it.
And so I bought it and it's decent. It's no Vermont syrup, but it's better than like log cabin or what was the it's not called Aunt Jemima's anymore. What's the
Stayer Brothers Maple Syrup, Garrett
oh
County,
there you
Maryland
go.
Farms.
Imagine like
Wow,
you
they're
you were born into a family that you just own a maple tree farm and like that's your livelihood is sap from trees. I wonder
pretty
what the
cool.
ROI on that is. The amount of time until
Um,
paying for the trees pays off, or at least paying for the land that the trees sit on, which in Maryland now is so expensive.
yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question, I think, but it's tough because I don't have a really good concept of the cost of land. So I wouldn't even really be able to like begin to address that as a question. I feel like whatever it is, whoever those kids are, the kids of the parents of whoever decided to do the maple trees, they probably don't have to think about that. They probably just have grown up doing maple syrup. It's probably the parents who have owned. But then again, I don't know. There's some young entrepreneurs out there who are like, let's do maple syrup. I bet. I bet.
Oh my god, this is so I was asking Google what's the length of time or ROI on a maple tree farm, and then for giggles I put in Maryland. And then the in the people ask section, are maple farms profitable? Net profits of a maple syrup farm. How much does a maple syrup farmer make? The answer, not much. Like, thank you.
Yeah, I
Thinking.
guess I can believe that. The thing is that the market, I imagine, is pretty cornered out by like syrups like Mrs. Buttersworth and
That's
whatever.
what it's called,
So
Mrs. Butterworth.
unless you're like really big locally, and you have like a really strong local trade of it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have no idea what that like timeline looks like. Which is why in my thought process of it, that's why it's probably not kids who have maple farms. If there's a kid out there with a maple farm, it's probably because their parents had it.
Right.
But
Right.
that's yeah, yeah.
Google's saying 7 to 13 years, which sounds about reasonable, I think, for most agricultural investments when you take into account like equipment and time and land costs. And did
That
you
makes
know
sense.
what is I need to look at the name. Who owns most of the world's maple syrup? So, did you know? Oh, what is it? I know it's Canada. Yes, but um oh, that's interesting. So, well, I guess that makes sense because Canada is the world's largest. But there's a group of people, Google's not giving it to me, but it's like the royal something or other maple syrup. Um, there was such a shortage, I remember back in the pandemic for maple syrup, that whoever owns the like 80% of the world's maple syrup in Canada had to actually dig into their reserves and deplete a lot of them because they weren't able to get maple syrup from the trees 1 or 2 years. I thought that
That's
was
pretty crazy.
fascinating. It's like oil. Saudi Arabia and the Middle East have kind of
Dude,
like the market on
you did like
oil.
a whole you did a whole maple syrup dive, huh? This really
You know,
why
that
did maple
wasn't.
syrup catch your attention? Hold on.
No, that fun fact I have always it lives rent free in my
Oh, it's
brain.
just in the back pocket.
Yeah, it
Okay, I
is.
see, I see. It's
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of
yeah.
those back pocket fun facts.
Yeah.
I gotcha, I gotcha,
Yep. And
I
so every time
gotcha.
I think of maple syrup, I think of that 80% of the world's maple syrup is controlled by this royal something or other in Canada.
I firmly believe it, but also when I think about maple syrup, I think about trying those maple leaves. They just it's leaves encrusted in maple syrup, and that's a Canadian treat, I guess. I
Uh-huh.
don't know, but I do want to try it. That sounds interesting. I'll eat some leaves. I'm
Always.
good. I'll eat some leaves. I'll do that. I'll do that for Canada. Oh,
Just make sure
Canada.
it's not with the yellow snow, you know? There's
Yeah, true
still
enough.
needs
True enough.
still needs some ground rules there.
So, pumpkin pancakes.
Pancakes.
What else?
Mhm.
What else was your day like?
Oh, there was a lot of sitting on the couch while I did things. And
So
I
it was
went
a
and got
busy
Thai food.
Christmas for you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it
Thai
was
food's not bad.
no, it was the first time I need to go back on my diet that I've been doing, but um
Mm.
I was talking to you. Okay, so quick aside for everyone. I was talking to John actually on Christmas Day, and I was like, I need to go get food. And he goes, "Oh, that'll be good. There's a lot of Asian places." And I'm like, "Oh, okay,
Chinese
you and I
spots.
both know where I live. There's not going to be a lot of
That's
options."
that's true.
But I did find it was a newer restaurant that popped up, and I was like, "All right." I got the sizzling beef. It was pretty, or the peppered beef. sizzling
Oh,
peppered
okay.
steak. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, that doesn't sound bad. It sounds like you had a busy Christmas. It sounds like you were working
Mhm.
through Christmas.
Yeah, in a way, but things have to get done.
That's
Um,
not necessarily a bad thing. There's things that
mm,
I wish I took the time to catch up on for
mhm,
Christmas. But I am ready for the new year. I'm not doing anything New Year's. I am staying home and I'm protect. My cat does pretty decently with fireworks, so I don't really have to worry about that with her. But I'm gonna protect her from the fireworks. I think the neighborhood that I'm in, they go a little crazy sometimes during
mm,
the holiday. Like there were freaking fireworks at like 3, 4 in the morning on Christmas. I was like, why are we lighting fireworks for Christmas? But
mhm.
apparently that's a thing. So I think when there's like a lot of them, she'll start to get a little scared. Like she gets scared during rainstorms.
Aw.
So I'm gonna hang out with her under my bed. That's gonna be my New Year's plans, and I'm sure my family's gonna want to pull me out. So I'll probably go over to their place just to drink a little bit and be merry with them for a little while before I head back home and protect her from the loud noises. And then, of course, I'll be streaming. I'm trying to pick up on that. Like, I say I'm trying to be consistent after skipping the last 2 days, but I really do want to be really consistent. My excuse was, obviously Christmas and Christmas Eve, but going into the new year, even on New Year's Day, I would like to be streaming. So, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. I think that sounds like a good New Year's. I have to say, my New Year's is probably going to look exactly like my Christmas did. Catching up on stuff for
Oh, okay.
me, and I don't think I'm going to go out at all. I'm not a huge drinker. Um,
Mm,
and even the older that I've gotten and the more that my stomach's become like kind of sensitive, drinking is just not worth it for me because of what it does to my body. Um, I actually had one drink at my dad's. He had some like spiked eggnog. So my family usually celebrates Christmas not on the holiday. And so I
mm.
had half a glass. And let me tell you if that did not mess up my body for the rest of the night. Oh.
Bro, yeah, I can't handle, food and drinking the way I used to. Although I did drink a lot. And I got really, really, yeah, I did drink a lot. But there would have been a time and place where John of the past would have been able to handle all those drinks. And yeah, a little different now, but it is what it
Do you
is.
find
Um,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, go for it. What were you
I was
saying?
gonna say, along with body changing when it comes to things you eat, have you found that your sense of motion stability in any way impacted? Whether that's, um, like I don't really want to say motion sickness, but I guess that could be part of it. Like, can you still do roller coasters or ride in cars or ride on boats the same way? Or do you
Yeah, I
find
think
that
so
it,
for the most part. Like
oh,
I mean,
nice.
I feel like an old man, but I'm not. I'm not really an old man. I'm fine. So for the most part, I'm okay. It takes a little longer for me to feel better when I'm sick. I don't know. Being sore sucks for longer. But outside of that, I don't know. My 30s are okay. And as I get healthier, I think they're gonna get better. I don't, you know what?
Mm,
Like I really feel strongly that I have not hit peak John yet.
mm-hmm,
So I'm pretty confident in saying like I'm not stressed about it at all. I feel
mm,
okay with where I'm at, and I feel like if anything, my situation is built to improve. Like
mm-hmm.
I think I'm in a good position to go upwards from where I'm at, and I'm cool with that. I'm excited.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I've noticed for myself, I can't do certain things like I used to. Like roller coasters make me feel a certain way. on boats, I have to be facing like the way that we're going.
You out here sounding real old.
I, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. Sometimes I'll be fine, and then other times I'm like, it's like my equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Yeah.
My gosh, is thrown off balance. So, all right, got another question for you. We're
True.
heading into the New Year's. Um,
Mm.
I don't really like asking about New Year's resolutions because I feel like those don't really stick. But is there either a
No,
word that you have for the new year or something that you want to work on for
not at
yourself?
all.
A
I,
theme.
I'm I am not even mentally there, nor
Too
do I
soon?
care to be. Like, you know what it is? I feel like a lot of people oftentimes will set themselves up for failure. I've set myself up for failure. And while I do think it's important to have a plan to follow, I think a lot of people get hung up on this time of year to be the time to set the plan. And the truth of the
Mhm.
matter is, like, have the plan. Just have the plan. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't need to be New Year's that you have it set,
Mhm.
or you need to reset it. If you want it to be your mark, then do your thing by all means. I just don't like, even on Facebook, like, my profile picture changes to the same thing every year. Not that I like truly feel this way, but it does change to the Calvin and Hobbes panel where it says New Year's resolutions. What's wrong with me now? Like, like, honestly, and I do, there is part of me that does feel that, because it's like, I don't know. We're constantly changing. We're constantly growing. I don't really want to set something that I'm not going to hold myself to 4 weeks, 5 weeks after I set it. I'd rather just be focused on the here and now of my life. I think right now it's too easy to get caught up in a lot of the surrounding events of my life that happen to be negative, and let that be the whirlwind that carries me or pulls me into what I would call my storm. Um, and it's too easy to get swept up in that. And I think part of the way that I've found to combat that in my life is by trying to be a little more present, and taking things day by day. So really, I don't want to think about 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now. What I want to do is be the best John that I can be tomorrow. That's kind of where my head's at. So on January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, my New Year's resolution is going to be exactly the same for all 3 days. Wake up and be a better version of me.
Mhm.
That's what I'm shooting for right now. And I think that's such an easy plan to follow. Like, it's so simple. Just wake up and try to make the best decisions I can for myself.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at.
Mhm. I think that's good. Um, I don't I like looking at the year as a whole. I don't really like looking at, hey, what am I going to start in January? But I do like now taking the end of the year to prep, reevaluate, and get even more clear as to where I am and where I'm going. Like, how am I building upon where I am now as a continuation? But what I do like doing is, and I started this, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I'll pick a word for the year as a theme, and my word this year was nourishment. And boy, if it was, regardless of some of the things that happened, it was still one of the most nourishing years of my life. And I think having a word just to kind of formulate and theme my year around has been really helpful, for a sense of direction, right? And if I don't, anytime where I feel like I don't have direction, falling back onto that word gives me, starts me heading in the right direction again. But I like what
I
you said. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think that's really cool. I do think that, different strokes for different folks for sure. I think there are some other things that have been brought to my attention on, like, yearly planning that I thought was really cool. The most recent one being somebody made a bingo chart for themselves, and
Get out.
basically, yeah, the bingo chart is the things that they want to accomplish throughout the year, and so their goal is just to line up five in a row somehow, some way, lining up five.
That's
And
really
if they
cool.
can knock out the board, that's awesome. But if you knock out one, then it kind of sets the path that you're going to go down in terms of what to hit next. I've seen planners where, like, basically it's 2 month check-ins
Mhm.
where they have the things that they want to accomplish by every 2 months. And I thought that was pretty cool because it lined up with the bingo chart. Um, I think these are like really good ideas, and I think there'll probably be a time in my life coming up soon. I want to say maybe 2 years from now, maybe three, where I'll be a little more interested in doing something of the sort. I think life has just been too chaotic for me to be interested in it at the moment.
Mhm.
That is to say that I think it's a good idea if you do have the capacity to think about what's going on in your future, what's
Mhm.
coming up next. I
Mhm.
absolutely 100% suggest doing so. Like,
Mhm.
what does it hurt to really stop and say, where am I and where am I going? Right. So I definitely
Mhm.
don't want to come across as like callous or what would be the word, uncaring about the idea of planning
Mhm.
out the future. It just happens to not fit me this year.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think what you were saying about being a better version of yourself every day, I think that's so valid because that's something I've been deploying in my life lately just to remind myself that it's me improving me, it's not me in relation to anybody else in life. Um And I think too, something that I'm guilty of that I've gone consistently better about, s- I don't know, probably I've been working on this for the last, I would say 5 to 6 years, is I take on so much and then I don't accomplish, even half of it because I didn't fully think about the plan of implementing all of that. And then I
Hmm.
didn't have the full vision. So, where picking a word for the year has helped is I relate things back to the word, and that's way easier than trying to relate all the things I want to accomplish back to the, like, that huge end goal or objective because a lot of times, um, all those things that we want to accomplish, they're in different areas of our life, like doing 20 push-ups might not correlate to I wanna make 10,000 for my business, but if you pick a word, if you pick a theme for your life, you're able to better connect all of those. Um, or like a state of being, should I say? Because a state of being will probably encompass all of that. So I would say I've set a good foundation by picking a word for the year. And now I'm kind of taking it a step further and really looking at what's everything I want to accomplish and how does that relate back to my goal and how can I do it in a way where I'm not overwhelmed and taking everything on all at once because historically I've tried to do that and it didn't work out very well.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely get that. I think more than if I get the opportunity to afford myself time to think.
Mhm.
That may be part of the issue right now is that I really I don't feel like I have the capacity to
Yeah.
really want to delve into it. But if I can afford myself the capacity to do so, what I would really like to implement, I think it would be cool, is putting together a comprehensive list and assigning XP to each item on the list. And then approaching things in a more systematic, gamey way where I'm
That's cool.
actually gaining XP and leveling up throughout the year because man, how cool would it be to like start at level one and then get to the end of the year and have reached level 20? Like
Mhm.
I think that would be super super cool. Like to set myself up for active gaming experience in real life. And I've tried this concept before. I say that I've talked about this idea before in the past. I've never implemented it fully in my life. I've never really sought it out. There are some apps out there that kind of do it. I don't think I think the ones that I tried weren't engaging enough for me. But having something like that, and then basically setting it up so that as oh man, this would be super incredible. Like as a service, I think this would be a lot of fun. Um, what I would do is I would set it up so that I basically have an online check-in checklist that I would go through, and I would pre-purchase things that I want if I had like the means and the time, and I would or not pre-purchase, but I'd have money set aside for each individual item, whatever, and then maybe like set each item to like a randomizer, like a number randomizer, and so that once I hit major goals on the checklist, it pulls a number that is off of this randomized list of numbers that equates to something that I want or that I would have fun with, and it sends me a little reward. It automatically makes the purchase and sends it my way to my house, makes a reward so that once I actually hit the level up, and I say like I go from level 3 to level 4, something comes to my door that I don't know what it is. Of course, I have like a generic idea, but I don't know specifically what it's going to be, but I know I'm going to be happy when I get it. So that way I kind of build in uh, real life like enticing reasons to level up, and then you have the experience. I think it would be really fun.
That's actually really sick. You know what I was thinking about is those games where you water the plant by drinking water. It's kind of the same
I've
thing,
never
like,
seen that.
really?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. What is that?
So
Explain it a
like
little more.
there's it's apps that essentially encourage you to drink by you keeping a plant alive. And so I think there's different ways that they do it, but one's like, "Hey, your plant's getting thirsty. Like, make sure you drink and then log like your water on the app or something, and then it keeps the plant alive or it keeps them thriving." Or
I've never heard of that. It's like a
ooh,
Tamagotchi that's like attached to you. That's kind of
yeah,
cool.
it's like the
Yeah, so similar idea. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the pocket pets or like the what are they like the Neopets or the back in the
Tamagotchis.
90s where it like take it with you and you have to feed it and yeah, same concept. That would be cool. I can see doing a different version of that, even though there isn't an app where you're designing what you want your next year to be and you're writing like what your reward is for
I
completing it.
even I
And
even
then,
think like as a bigger thing, having like somebody that you hire on as a life coach that could guide you and make those choices for you
yeah,
as far as rewards,
yeah.
that would be super cool. Yeah.
I think yes and no. Yes, because it might be more meaningful, but no, because you know yourself the best. And so, like, how are they going to know something that is truly meaningful for you to get as an award? But they could probably lead you to making better reward choices for yourself. Um, but yeah, like essentially that where if you write down like what your reward's going to be, and some of those items you don't get till way later in the year, how cool would it be to be like, oh my gosh, wow, I completed it, and I get to I don't know take myself on a week vacation or whatever. I think that
See,
that would be kind of fun too.
it's tough because there's a balance that needs to be struck for me.
Hmm.
It's like my cat. My cat does enjoy playing. Cat loves to play, but in order to get Cat to play, I need to be able to hide the toy from her. I have to have the toy in sight and then out of sight, and she will always play that way. And I think I'm kind of the same way, which is why like even if you had somebody like who did like in-depth interviews on you and like got to talk to the people in your life who could then like make suggestions, but like you didn't know exactly what was coming next, right? Because
Mhm.
like even in the way that I'm thinking of, if you had to do it for yourself, then I would want it randomized, right? But the less you know, the better I think, because it's almost like a contest in a way. Like
Mhm.
when a
Mhm.
contest comes up, you're more likely to do the actions that the contests are requiring you to do, even though technically you could probably do those actions any day of the week, right?
Mhm.
And they're going to lead to, more often than not, the same result, right? Which is no winnings, or whatever your normal daily thing is. um, but you'll do it because like that moment is really really enticing to you, right? Like it's that thing that's out of reach, um, that like you normally wouldn't have, but now you do. I feel like as soon as I know, like I'm the one who, as soon as I know that I'm the one who set it out, part of me loses a little bit of that. And
Mm.
then if I set the order by which I get it, then I definitely lose a little bit of that. So, like, as an example, if I say, okay, if I get my business up and running this year and I make a total of $10,000 worth of sales, I am going to do X.
Mhm.
That as a goal doesn't actually motivate me very much.
Mhm.
Um, it's hard for me to get excited about that. Um, but like, I wonder what would be equivalent of like something that I would get excited about.
I think
Um,
you have good points. I'd probably do maybe a fishbowl with like let's say I think the
Even
coach
that could
helps.
work. Yeah, a
Yeah, like the
fishbowl where
coach,
you pull.
right, but the coach helps with picking the right reward for the accomplishment. So for example, if one of the things you wanted to do during the year is 20 chin-ups, that is arguably easier than making $10,000 in business if you're just starting out in business and it's your first business, you don't really know what you're doing. Um, but if you were to put a reward of buying yourself a new used car for the chin-ups instead of the 10,000, there's a discrepancy there when it
There's a
comes to
mismatch.
right. Right.
I think so. Even the way you can employ a coach in that like kind of general idea. Like, so here's what for me, this is again a personal concept where like, man, this would really work well in my life, I think, is if I had somebody that I checked in with on a weekly basis to give an update on the things that I did in the week. That way
Mhm.
I had somebody to talk my week over with. We get to talk about, what it is that I did accomplish, what I might want to accomplish in the coming week.
Mhm.
Just a regular check-in, not really therapy, right? But, being able to talk about what was done, what I might want to look at coming up. And then basically, rather than me trying to calculate what my experience is for them for that week, they take the accomplishments that I provide and they attach experience points to them, right?
Mhm.
So because for each person, the type of exercise, or not exercise, but the type of things you do, um, maybe, or the things you may want to accomplish may be easy for you but difficult for another person, or vice
Mhm.
versa. So as an
Mhm.
example, like if I'm an artist, right, and and I go and I tell my coach, hey, I drew, XYZ, right? That might be certain amount of experience points. But if I've never been an artist and I want to be an artist, right, the
Mhm.
amount of effort that I'm putting into that may look different, right? They may be two different things, even though they're technically doing the same action, right? So 20 push-ups for the gym bro is not 20 push-ups for me, right? But
Mhm.
having somebody to take that information that you provide who knows your life a little more on a deeper level, and then
Mhm.
being able to say, hey, I see you for what you did, and I know that wasn't easy. I think that's 50 experience points right there. You know
Mhm.
what? 50 is a lot, but you earned it.
Yeah.
You deserve that. I think having somebody, because then you get like a validating figure as well that you can look
Mhm.
to and say, God damn it, thank you. You know what? I did do that. How
Mhm.
good would it feel if you could go and talk to somebody and just be like, listen, it was tough, but who did that? I did. I did that. And they're like, you know what? You did. You did. In fact, you did that so well, bro. It put you over the line. You leveled up, dog. You
I
leveled up, big dog.
I definitely agree with you. I think but I do think who you wanna be accountable to is yourself, and I think just having the coach assign the points defeats the purpose of how you're valuing your accomplishment, but I do think sometimes people will under or I think it's more natural for us to under or over, um compare and give ourselves the kudos or not give ourselves the earned kudos. So what I think would be maybe even a little bit better to add on to that idea, you still have the coach give you points. You're doing your XP experience points. They're giving you the bonus. And maybe you don't know what the bonus things are going to be. But like together you guys have cultivated okay, what's the actual reward going to be? You know how like when you're playing a video game and it's like bonus, you just found the magic bridge and like you got the participation trophy.
You need to play more video games.
I listen.
Here's how
You know
I
what I'm
think
talking
personally.
about.
Personally, I think the way I would actually balance that system out
Mm,
is I would have the individual set the mainline quest goals. So
yep.
basically,
Mhm.
whoever is taking this program that I'm like hypothetically setting up says, these are the goals that I want to achieve in life. These are the things that I'd like to accomplish throughout the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years,
Mhm.
right? So that there's a viewpoint for short term to long term, right? And then basically what the coach's job is not necessarily to evaluate the major quest goals, but like the steps, the extra quests you took on the way there, right? I think that would be cool too. So like maybe
Yeah.
your major quest goal is running a marathon, and maybe you know running a marathon gives you 100 XP, right? And that's a big boost to your levels, right? Maybe running a marathon in it of itself gains you a level,
Mhm.
right? But what about just walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes? What is that? I don't want to be
Mhm.
in charge of assigning that XP. Like I
Mhm.
think that
Yeah.
that's where I feel like that's the service for me, because I think
Mhm.
I lose some of the magic when it stops becoming a game essentially.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
part of this admittedly part of this is me wanting to be less accountable
Mhm.
but more accountable, like more be more accountable in a less accountable way.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. Like, okay, so I know that my goal is right. So it's not like you have somebody on the phone with you every day who's like, "Yo, did you go to the gym?
Right.
Did
Right.
you what's
Yeah.
up? Did you how much water did you drink today?" But if you get done with your week and you're like, something that I'm really proud of that I did this week that I didn't do last week, like I went to the gym. Not only that, but I made sure that
Mhm.
I drank 2 gallons of water every day.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to be in charge of assigning myself XP, but I want to feel good about the fact that I
Yeah.
did those things,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
having somebody there to validate that and say, hey, well, in your journey of trying to run a marathon, this is what I think this is worth.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah. No, I think you have a very valid point there because if I can give a real life example of that, so I use Trello to keep track of like everything that I need to do. And someone looking at my Trello board would say, "Oh my god, like that's way too much." But for me, it's actually a peace of mind because I have like cart maintenance every quarter, cleaning my car every quarter. Like I have a schedule for things so that way
You're
I
so
don't have to think about them.
responsible. Car maintenance ain't showing up anywhere on any schedule of mine ever.
Listen, I take care of my car. I love her. She's a
Hmm.
trooper. But one other thing that I also do is I log the time that it takes me to do something. And part of that is so that way at the end of the year I can evaluate and go like, did I really spend my time doing things I want to do? But I do find myself a lot of times getting so annoyed at like spending all this time logging time so I can feel accomplished that I spent time doing something. So,
Honestly, like even listening to it, like my immediate. So here's the thing: I don't want to like down you because it's good, and you should be doing that, right? That is a very responsible and good thing that you're doing in your life. But I hate it so much. I
yeah.
don't. I don't want to
But that's
think
my point though. That is a real world example where if someone was like, "All right, I'm going to log your time for you." I'd be like,
like
"Bet. Do it."
if we all have money like that, that would be an assistant's job.
Yep.
That would
Yep.
be a personal assistant's job.
Yep.
Like,
And
you know,
the thing is, there is value to it because I've been able to get better and better at planning because I know now approximately how much time something's going to take unless there's something unforeseen, right? Like
sure, sure.
you're like, okay, well, historically, I know because I've been logging this time that it's going to take about 3 hours for my car, and then you reach hour 6 and you're like, what happened? And you
Yeah,
spent, it was unforeseen. It just helps you to become better at planning.
for sure.
But, if there's a way I can do that where it's more gamified or not do it for 5 items that are 5 minutes that I'm like,
Yeah.
cool.
I
So,
think I think that would be ultra cool. I think if I lived in a universe where I had the ability to just institute a program like that, I would.
mhm.
I think there are other people who would see a lot of value in a program like that. But it's just par for a course, par for the course. Another good idea, just chilling in the background there.
When we get into our headset realities and they're not headset anymore, they're just real realities, I think that
Mm,
idea would really take off. Like imagine, like I just learned today there's D&D stores.
yeah.
Didn't know
Wait.
that. I didn't know. And I saw this couple go into one and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." So like imagine if it was more like actual reality or we had one of my favorite book series is being made I think finally into a movie or I know it did get made into a movie and I still need to watch it. I don't know if in middle school you heard of the series Uglies Pretties Specials Extras.
Mm-mm.
So it's by I think it's Scott, is it Sanderson? Scott something. I am doing him no justice, but he created a series called Ugly's Pretty Specials Extras. And essentially what it is, it's in this world where they have advanced technology and so the first book is all about people who are ugly. So until you're either 16 or 18, you live in Uglyville until you get the procedure that turns you pretty, right? And when you're a little, you just live with your parents as a normal child. And so all you can think about is, that procedure to turn you pretty. But the big thing in the book is that you always wear this ring that interacts with the world around you. So it interacts with your house and it has a wall that can show you different versions of yourself, can spit out clothing, like gives you food. And so if we lived in a world that's more like that, I think your idea would fit right in. At that point, everything is a living game. And that's just one more component that makes your life easier. Also, I wanted to bring this up earlier too, because um when you mentioned planning, I'm starting to see a lot of videos where people are using Chat GPT. They make the list of what they want to accomplish, and then they have Chat GPT organize it so that it's actually doable within the time frame that you give it. Um, or
That's
giving
kind of
you
cool.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but it's something I thought about. So if anyone's thinking about, I'm not great at planning, something always falls through, like you can make your list of what you want to accomplish next year, put it in a chat GBT, have it tell you how to accomplish it, but then also maybe after it gives you the plan, express some of the pitfalls and say, how do I go about preventing this for the next year? And you know, it, it
Give
it's
yourselves
continuous,
over to our AI overlords. That's what I suggest.
Take me to
I
your
I
leader.
suggest asking ChatGPT what ChatGPT thinks you should do next year, and then
That
following that schedule, and just getting good with our AI overlords now. That's my suggestion. Take that and run with it.
as a willing
Questioners.
participant.
Yeah,
ChatGPT,
yeah.
plan out my day.
Questioners don't question anything.
I mean,
Actually, question things, but let Chat GPT answer.
let ChatGPT create the constructs for you to
Yeah,
question how to deal with
yeah,
the constructs.
yeah, yeah. Ask Chat GPT what constructs should you be aware of,
We
and then do
really,
nothing but be aware of those.
maybe we should do that for one episode.
Have a day of Chat GPTing where we just come
Yes.
up with prompts.
Hey,
That does
ChatGPT,
sound like fun.
what constructs should be questioned today?
Yeah,
Oh,
that does sound like fun. Asking Chat GPT questions does sound like fun. Actually,
maybe that'll
I'm with
be,
it.
that'll be like our next episode or episode after.
Yeah, I'd be game. I know that I have a question that we kind of um, uh, that has been in the back pocket for a little bit that I want to ask next time.
Yeah.
But that said, I am down to hold on to that for like a day where we don't know what we're talking about or doing, and we just pop that on the table and say, "Well, let's ask ChatGPT what we're doing. Let's let's talk to our overlords."
That's so
Yeah,
funny. I
yeah,
saw, speaking of AI, because we pretty much, aside from one topic, which I think is a maybe after New Year's topic that I've been holding, um, one thing I saw today on Facebook, which I question if it's AI generated or not, apparently the Chesapeake Bay was formed from a meteor hitting the Earth. And I'm like, is this Chat GPT coming up with this? Or like or not Chat GPT, but like AI? But it was wild because you would think that if you live in an area where that's such a prominent feature, that that would have come out at some point. But also education. Eh,
Chesapeake Bay impact crater is a buried impact crater located beneath the mouth of Chesapeake Bay.
okay,
It
so
was
it's real.
formed by a bolide that struck the eastern shore of North America about 35.5. I don't know what that symbol means.
Million, maybe?
Plus or
Trillion?
minus does it plus or minus zero point 0.3 million years ago in late Eocene epoch. I don't know
Wow.
what half of those words are. It is one of the best preserved wet target impact craters in the world.
What?
Continued slumping of sediments over the rubble of the crater has helped shape the Chesapeake Bay. Um, seems like seems like there are quite a few references pointed out on the wiki. We got at least more than eight different references to take a look at.
That's
Um,
crazy.
but
I
it
did
looks
not
like
know that.
even looking at some of the references that it's speaking or it's pulling from, it's pulling from things like uh, geology, Chesapeake Bay crater geology and geophysics of the late Eocene submarine impact structure. Looks like impact studies. Um, Mind blowing discovery: oldest body of seawater found in giant crater from National Geographic. So it looks like it's pretty well known. Chesapeake Bay
Hmm.
Earth Impact Database, Planetary and Space Science Center, University of New Brunswick, Fredericton. So we even have some university information here.
Well, there
Seems
you
pretty well
go.
documented.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Okay, so not an AI generated, but just a really cool fact that they should capitalize on for the area.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, you would think that they would capitalize on that more. I agree.
Hmm. All right. I think this is probably a good spot to wrap it up, if you agree.
Yeah, I think we're good around here. We're kind of running up on that hour mark. Um, Thank you guys for hanging out here. As far as a question that I have going into the next time that we stream, hopefully it's next week, but the next time we stream, I would say, what would you ask our AI overlords? Um, what do you want us to ask the AI overlords when we do run up against
Ooh,
that timing of talking to AI overlords?
yeah. That's a good question. I think my
Yeah.
question is, what's your word for the new year? What what is what is something that you want to build upon for the new year? Not a New Year's resolution, because like we said, you're always growing and it's just a continuation. But what does that next phase look like if you want to sum it up in a word or in a single goal? Like, what is it?
Dope.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, guys. Happy holidays. Enjoy the new year if we do not pod before then. But love you all and have a good night.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.